The Young and the Restless recap. Summer harms Claire and Kyle in the bedroom. Sharon's restraining order. Monday, November 4th. Monday, November 4's Young and the Restless, YNR, teasers indicate that Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, will get together at Society to drink, laugh, and tell some goofy stories. Sally won't invite Billy in for a nightcap just yet, but he will ultimately drop her off at her suite. Nevertheless, Sally and Billy will admit that they like hanging out together, so they will undoubtedly be getting closer. When Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, tells Kyle Abbott, Michael Miller, that she doesn't want to stop, their make-out session will intensify as they make their way to the bedroom in the Abbott estate. The return of Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, will upend the plan, even though Claire will unbutton Kyle's shirt and collapse back on the bed with him. Upon returning for her phone, Summer will see that Claire's handbag is still there. After Summer calls Kyle and Claire upstairs, Kyle will come downstairs without his shirt buttoned. Summer will clearly be upset by this discovery, but she will say that she noticed Claire's handbag and speculated that she could have remained because Harrison Abbott, Michael Miller, was ill from eating Halloween candy. Kyle will send Summer off once he clarifies that Harrison is okay and sleeping. Claire will acknowledge that Summer's entrance disturbed her and made her consider whether now isn't the proper time when she returns downstairs. They will kiss again after Kyle encourages Claire to take as much time as she needs and promises to be there when she's ready. At Crimson Lights, Michael Graziede's character Daniel Romalotti Jr. will discuss his strategy with Michelle Stafford's character Phyllis Summers about apprehending the true Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom, perpetrator. Naturally, Phyllis will blame Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, and demand that Daniel follow her example as soon as Sharon shows up in the area. After asking if Sharon has seen any ghosts, Phyllis will emphasize that she has proof and knows what Sharon did. That revelation will make Sharon seem frightened, and she will insist on knowing what Phyllis is discussing. When Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, shows up to listen in, Sharon will eventually pretend that there is no evidence to see. Sharon will try to persuade Daniel that she could never hurt Heather, and Phyllis will stroll outside. Sharon will act as though Phyllis is acting strangely, but Daniel will defend his innocence and say she's only being protective. Nick will keep listening in and, once Sharon has some privacy, he will interrogate her. Acting as though Phyllis is bothering her, Sharon will recommend that she obtain a restraining order. Sharon will be persuaded to postpone the restraining order for the time being by Nick once he brings her home. Despite his assurances that he doesn't trust Phyllis's charges, Nick will advise that it would just make Sharon appear guilty. Nick also won't believe it's a good idea to add additional stress to Phyllis's family, so he'll try to encourage her to distance herself from Sharon so that the restraining order won't be issued. In the YNR episode that airs on Monday, Daniel will then confront Phyllis for claiming to have proof when in fact they never did. A nut will fracture if you apply enough pressure, according to Phyllis. With that in mind, Phyllis will try to trick Sharon into believing they have proof and set up a trap for her to fall for Heather's murder. Though she will concur with Daniel that it is too drastic, Summer will also arrive and get updates on this strategy. Even if Sharon is innocent, Daniel will respect Phyllis's will to pursue justice and assure Heather that they will succeed in doing so. We'll provide you with predictions regarding the investigation's flips and turns since spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that Sharon has more obstacles to overcome. Spoilers for week of November 4th on The Young and the Restless, Victor's secret, Diane's mysterious message, and Sharon brooch. The week of November 4th to 8th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, YNR, indicate that Michelle Stafford's character Phyllis Summers will try to get Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, to confess by pushing her buttons. Because Phyllis is certain that Sharon is responsible for the death of Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom, and the framing of Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade, she will claim to have proof and attempt to catch Sharon. It goes without saying that Sharon will have her own ambitious intentions and inform Nick Newman, played by Joshua Morrow, that she may be subject to a restraining order against Phyllis. Nick will make every effort to stop that from happening, but Phyllis will continue to snoop on Sharon and attempt to make her break. Notwithstanding Nick's objections, will Sharon proceed with her proposed restraining order? Sharon could feel compelled to do that or worse before she blows everything up since she is at her breaking point. Daniel will conduct his own investigation nonetheless, so he will stop at nothing to clear his name and, ideally, bring Heather justice. Some details about Christine Blair, Laura Lee Bell, will remain confidential. Phyllis may cause a fuss, so Christine would try to keep her in the dark and find out anything that could aid Daniel's case. On a more positive side, an evening of endearing tales and moments of chemistry will strengthen the bond between Josh Thompson's character Billy Abbott and Courtney Hope's character Sally Spectra. Billy won't be invited in for a nightcap just yet, but Sally will offer him optimism that an invitation will be extended later. It sounds as though Billy and Sally will eventually fall asleep. When it comes to sleeping together, Michael Mealer's character Kyle Abbott and Haley Aaron's character Claire Newman will attempt to further their romance. She returns to the Abbott home, but regrettably, Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, will interrupt her by calling out to stop the lovers from continuing their romance upstairs. This may be the first sign that Summer will start to show interest in Kyle again. Given that Summer's relationship with Chance Chancellor, Connor Floyd, is set to suffer, she could become a little more possessive and envious of her ex-husband. Chance and Summer's romance may be on the verge of ending before you realize it because of the pressure Daniel's case is taking on them. Returning to Billy, he will follow Jill Abbott's, Jess Walton, instructions and try to patch things up with Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil. The only thing left to decide is if Lily is prepared to compromise with Billy. Whether he will assist Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, in finding Damien will be decided over with Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic. It would not be much of a narrative if Nate didn't give in to the pressure to find his half-brother. A mystery message will be sent by Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, according to other YNR revelations. In the end, it can be revealed that Diane is plotting with Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, since it is probable that Diane would text someone to say that their plan is going well. Diane and Jack could be causing more problems than they anticipated if they are conspiring to stage a breakup to deceive Victor Newman, Eric Braden, and Kyle. Speaking of Victor, he will inform Nikki Newman, played by Melody Thomas Scott, of the big surprise he has in store for her. Although Victor will reportedly make hints about taking Nikki home for it, she will quickly discover that home looks very different. On November 8th, Victor will show the old Newman Ranch house, which he has been meticulously restoring and furnishing to Nikki's memories. She will be astonished. Our predictions suggest that Devin Hamilton Winters, Bryton James, and Abby Newman Abbott, Melissa Ordway, would be overjoyed that the refurbished ranch house will be the venue for their wedding. Stay tuned for all the exciting news and big surprises that will occur during the week of November 4th to 8th, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Will Jack and Kyle be surprised by Diane's return to Los Angeles? Susan Walters' character Diane Jenkins Abbott may choose to take a risk, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, YNR. Despite all indications that Diane and Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, marriage breakdown is a staged affair, things might go horribly wrong. Diane is obviously in great pain as a result of this entire situation. The facade of Diane's bluster is part of the act and serves to sell this plan, but underneath it is a devastated woman. Jack has been advocating for an annulment and has lately proposed Diane's departure from the area. The concept of Diane going back to her previous identity as Taylor Jensen, the name she used when residing in Los Angeles, was also suggested by Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. Although Jack and Diane are being phony, according to our YNR forecasts, Diane could ultimately take those comments to heart. Eventually, Diane may surprise everyone by announcing her return to Los Angeles. Diane might, however, simply include it in a farewell letter and claim that this is in everyone's best interests. It may make Jack desperate to stop Diane and might even compel him to reveal the plot. Before he got back together with Diane, Jack's romantic life had been a complete mess for years. It's hard to think they want to discard all of that now, since the program provided Jack the chance to have a lifelong relationship with a lady who genuinely wanted him. At some point, Jack might need to put all of this aside and defend his relationship with Diane. Jack's efforts to prevent Diane from leaving Genoa City may take precedence over his deception of Kyle and Victor Newman, Eric Braden. Perhaps Jack will have to accompany Diane to Los Angeles and plead with her to return home. When it comes to repairing all the harm, Jack could have some work to do because Diane is coping with a lot of difficult feelings that could be bringing her down. In the next episodes, Diane and Jack's relationship will take some unexpected turns, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Stay tuned for updates on all the surprising news that lies ahead. Breaking spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Nate's news for Amy on Tuesday, November 5th, Billy's sacrifice, Tracy astonishes Alan. According to YNR teasers for Tuesday, November 5th, Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, will somehow surprise Alan Loran, Christopher Cousins. Perhaps there will be a romantic surprise or a love profession. Tracy will manage to surprise Alan on Tuesday's program, no matter what. There may be a surprise in store since, after a last twin exchange, YNR has hinted that Alan could actually be Martin Loran, Christopher Cousins. Look for Tracy to give Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, some advice at some point, since he could need some direction. At Crimson Lights, Tracy could encourage Billy to set aside his pride and concentrate on the important things once they sit down with him. Failure to find a way to make peace with Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, might result in Billy losing the Abbott Chancellor crown. Billy will eventually come to the conclusion that he must give in to Jill Abbott's, Jess Walton, demands, since sharing power with Lily is preferable than having none at all. Billy will decide that a sacrifice must be made here, even if he would prefer to continue managing the business alone. According to YNR teasers, Billy will attempt to win Lily's forgiveness and suggest that they once more manage the Abbott Chancellor enterprise together. The important decision will be made by Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, while Lily considers Billy's proposal. Before she dies, Nate will likely choose to find his half-brother and bring Damien and Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, back together. Nate is naturally uncomfortable with the thought of finding this man he has never met and shocking him with significant family information. With all Amy is up against, Nate might not be able to grant her final desire. According to our predictions, Nate's quest for Damien will be filled with surprises, so be sure to tune in. Nate's determination to find Damien may soothe Amy, as spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that he will soon provide her with updates on some significant news. The Young and the Restless Monday, November 4th recap. Summer uses Sharon's restraining order to harm Claire and Kyle in the bedroom. According to The Young and the Restless, YNR, teasers on Monday, November 4th, Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, and Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, will get together at Society to drink, laugh, and tell some goofy stories. Sally will finally be dropped off to her suite by Billy, but she will choose not to welcome him in for a nightcap just yet. Billy and Sally will admit that they like to spend time together, thus they will undoubtedly be becoming closer. Their makeout session will intensify as they make their way to the bedroom at the Abbott estate after Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, reassures Kyle Abbott, Michael Miller, that she doesn't want to stop. The return of Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, will throw everything off balance, even though Claire will unbutton Kyle's shirt and collapse back on the bed with him. Summer will see Claire's handbag is still there when she returns for her phone. Kyle will come downstairs with his shirt unbuttoned when Summer calls for him and Claire upstairs. Although Summer's displeasure with this development is evident, she would say that she noticed Claire's handbag and speculated that she may have remained because Harrison Abbott, Michael Miller, was ill after eating Halloween candy. Kyle will send Summer on her way after he confirms Harrison is okay and asleep. Claire will confess that Summer's visit confused her and made her question whether now is the correct time when she comes downstairs. In order to give Claire another kiss, Kyle will encourage her to take as much time as she needs and promise to be there when she's ready. Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade, will discuss his strategy to apprehend the true Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom, suspect with Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, at Crimson Lights. When Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, shows up nearby, Phyllis will naturally assume that she is to blame and will encourage Daniel to follow her example. Phyllis will assert that she knows what Sharon did and has evidence once she inquires as to if Sharon has seen any ghosts. That information will worry Sharon, who will insist on knowing what Phyllis is discussing. But when Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, shows up to listen in, Sharon will finally pretend that there is no evidence to locate. As Sharon tries to persuade Daniel that she could never hurt Heather, Phyllis will stroll outside. Daniel will argue that she is being protective and will maintain his innocence while Sharon will act as though Phyllis is acting strangely. After Sharon is by herself, Nick will continue to listen in and ask her questions. Sharon will essentially pretend that Phyllis is bothering her and recommend that she obtain a restraining order. Nick will persuade Sharon to put off the restraining order for the time being once he brings her home. Nick will convince Sharon that he doesn't believe Phyllis's charges, but he will advise that it would just make her appear guilty. Nick will also try to persuade Phyllis to distance herself from Sharon in order to avoid the restraining order since he doesn't believe it's a smart idea to complicate matters for her family. Daniel will next confront Phyllis on Monday's YNR episode for claiming to have proof when in fact they don't. Phyllis is adamant that a nut will fracture if you apply enough pressure on it. To get Sharon to fall for Heather's murder, Phyllis will try to trick her into believing they have proof and set up a trap. Although Summer will agree with Daniel that this plan is too drastic, she will also arrive and get updates on it. Daniel will, however, value Phyllis's will to pursue justice and assure Heather that they will, regardless of Sharon's guilt. We'll give you predictions on how the probe will unfold because spoilers for The Young and the Restless indicate that Sharon has more challenges ahead of her. Week of November 4th spoilers for The Young and the Restless, Victor's secret, Diane's mysterious message, and Sharon breaks. According to YNR teasers for the week of November 4th to 8th, Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, will try to get a confession out of Sharon Newman, Sharon Case, by pushing her buttons. Phyllis will pose as having proof and attempt to catch Sharon since she firmly believes that she is responsible for Heather Stevens, Vale Bloom, death and for framing Daniel Romalotti Jr., Michael Graziade. Naturally, Sharon is going to have her own ambitious ideas and will inform Nick Newman, played by Joshua Morrow, that she may be subject to a restraining order against Phyllis. Nick will try his hardest to stop that from happening, but Phyllis will continue to snoop on Sharon and attempt to make her break. Despite Nick's opposition, will Sharon proceed with her plan for a restraining order? Before Sharon blows everything up, she could feel compelled to do that or do something even worse against Phyllis since she is reaching her breaking point. In any case, Daniel will conduct his own inquiry and will stop at nothing to vindicate his name and, ideally, bring Heather justice. Laura Lee Bell, who plays Christine Blair, would not divulge some details. Christine could be able to gather information that would support Daniel's case and try to keep Phyllis in the dark since she would cause trouble. Positively, an evening of endearing tales and chemistry-filled moments will strengthen the bond between Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope. Sally will offer Billy optimism that an invitation will someday arrive, but she will not allow him to join her for a nightcap just yet. Sally and Billy could end up sleeping together sooner rather than later. In connection to sleeping together, Claire Newman, Haley Aaron, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Miller, will attempt to advance their romance. Sadly, when she returns to the Abbott home, Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, will intervene, grab her phone, and yell to stop the lovers from continuing their romance upstairs. This may be the start of Summer's love interest returning to Kyle. With her relationship with Chance Chancellor, Connor Floyd, set to suffer, Summer could become a little more possessive and envious of her ex-husband. Chance and Summer may be on the verge of splitting up before you realize it because of the pressure Daniel's case is taking on their relationship. Returning to Billy, he will choose to comply with Jill Abbott's, Jess Walton, requests and try to reconcile with Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil. The only question is if Lily is prepared to compromise with Billy. He will determine whether to assist Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, in finding Damien over with Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic. Given that finding his half-brother wouldn't be much of a tale otherwise, it appears like Nate will give in. According to more YNR rumors, Susan Walters' character Diane Jenkins Abbott will deliver an enigmatic message. It can be revealed that Diane is plotting with Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, if she texts someone to say their plan is going well. Jack and Diane may be causing more difficulty than they anticipated if they are conspiring to stage a breakup in order to deceive Kyle and Victor Newman, Eric Braeden. Regarding Victor, he will inform Nikki Newman, played by Melody Thomas Scott, that he has a big surprise in store for her. Nikki will quickly discover that home looks very different, even though Victor will reportedly hint at taking her home for it. She will be amazed when Victor displays the old Newman Ranch house on November 8 since he has been working restoring it and furnishing it just as Nikki recalls. Our guesses are that Devin Hamilton Winters, Bryton James, and Abby Newman Abbott, Melissa Ordway, would be overjoyed when they receive updates on the refurbished ranch house serving as their wedding venue. Keep checking back for all the exciting news and big surprises because according to Spoilers for the Young and the Restless, the week of November 4th to 8th will be filled with highs and lows. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Will Jack and Kyle be surprised by Diane's return to Los Angeles? According to previews for YNR, Diane Jenkins Abbott, Susan Walters, may choose to take a risk. Even though it appears like Diane and Jack Abbott's, Peter Bergman, marriage breakdown was a fake-out, things might still go horribly wrong. Diane is clearly in great pain as a result of this entire situation. Although her bluster is part of the act and contributes to the sale of this plan, Diane's facial expressions reveal a broken lady underneath. Jack recently advised that Diane should move out of town and has been pressing for an annulment. Even the concept of Diane going back to her previous identity as Taylor Jensen, the name she used when residing in Los Angeles, was suggested by Kyle Abbott, Michael Mealer. Although our YNR forecasts imply that Jack and Diane are acting phony, Diane could ultimately take those ideas to heart. Diane may at some time surprise everyone by announcing her return to Los Angeles. However, Diane may just include it in a farewell letter and claim that this is in everyone's best interests. Jack could get desperate to stop Diane, and he might even be forced to reveal the plot. Before he and Diane got back together, Jack's romantic life had been a complete mess for years. It's difficult to imagine that they want to discard all of that now, since the program provided Jack the chance to have a lifelong relationship with a lady who genuinely wanted him. Eventually, Jack might have to put all of this crap aside and defend his relationship with Diane. Jack preventing Diane from leaving Genoa City may become more significant than tricking Kyle and Victor Newman, Eric Braeden. It may even be necessary for Jack to accompany Diane to Los Angeles and plead with her to return home. Jack might need to put in some effort to repair all the harm because Diane is coping with a lot of difficult feelings that could bring her to a low point. According to Young and the Restless Spoilers, Diane and Jack's relationship will take some unexpected turns in the next episodes. Stay tuned for updates on all the startling revelations that lie ahead. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless. Tuesday, November 5th. Nate's news for Amy. Tracy astonishes Alan with Billy's sacrifice. Tuesday, November 5th. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless. YNR indicate that Tracy Abbott, Beth Maitland, will somehow surprise Alan Loran, Christopher Cousins. That can entail a romantic surprise or even a love career. In any event, during Tuesday's show, Tracy will manage to surprise Alan. A shocker could be in the works, as YNR has hinted that Alan might be Martin Loran, Christopher Cousins, after a last twin exchange. Tracy should finally give Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, some advice since he needs it. Tracy may encourage Billy to set aside his ego and concentrate on what truly matters if she and Martin have a conversation with him at Crimson Lights. Billy may lose the Abbott Chancellor position if he is unable to reconcile with Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil. Billy will eventually understand that he must give up to Jill Abbott's, Jess Walton, demands since sharing power with Lily is preferable to having none at all. Billy will decide it's time to make a compromise even though he would like to continue managing the business alone. Billy will urge Lily to forgive him and suggest that they manage the Abbott Chancellor business together once more, according to YNR spoilers. Nate Hastings, Sean Dominic, will have to make a big decision as Lily considers Billy's proposal. It seems likely that Nate will make the decision to find his half-brother and bring Damien and Amy Lewis, Valerie Pettiford, back together before she dies. The thought of finding this man he has never met and shocking him with significant family secrets naturally makes Nate uncomfortable. However, given Amy's circumstances, Nate might not be able to grant her final request. Don't miss the surprises that Nate's hunt for Damien is expected to bring. Amy might feel glad that Nate is eager to find Damien since, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless, he will shortly inform her on some significant news.